The Homecoming by Jafta. The bus came to a standstill, and all the passengers spilled out as soon as they could. It was Friday, end of the week, end of the month, end of the year. And the trip from Windhoek to the north was hot and unending. Unlike previous times, I remained in my seat until the bus was empty. Then I gathered my belongings and moved to the door. Through the window I could see Maria scrambling to claim my 2 suitcases. The heat of the late afternoon sun hit me as I alighted from the bus. Now, the smell of sweat and overspiced fast food seemed like a distant memory. The welcome smell of meat overexposed to the sun filled my nostrils. I could even hear the buzzing of the metallic green-colored flies as they circled and landed on the meat hanging from the tree branches and the makeshift stalls. Circled and landed. Circled and landed. Hawkers and buyers were busy closing the last deals of the day. The air was filled with expectancy. Maria bent down and kissed me on the lips, a dry and unemotive gesture. She smiled, picked up the larger of the 2 suitcases, and placed it on her head. Then she started walking ahead of me. I picked up the other case, placed it on my head, and put both of my hands in the small of my back to steady myself. Then I followed her. I looked at Maria straight back, the proud way she held her head and the determination with which she walked. How beautiful is the unbroken human spirit. I tried desperately to think of something to say, but could not find the words. Thoughts were spinning in my head, but my mouth remained closed and empty. So we continued in silence, this stranger, my daughter, and I. So this was it, my homecoming. What did I expect? The village to come out in a celebration of a long-lost daughter who had come home? How long had it been? 40 years? It must have been about 40 years. How I have lost track of the time. How could I be expected to keep track of the time when I could only measure it against myself in a foreign land? When I planted seeds but never had the chance to see them grow, bore children but never watched them grow. When I had to make myself understood in a foreign tongue, had to learn how an electric kettle works, how and when to put the stove off, that doors are not open to strangers, and that you do not greet everyone you meet with a handshake. I tried not to look at the long dusty road ahead of us. In any case, there was nothing in particular to look at. Everything seemed barren and empty. No trees, no grass, just a sprawling brown and orange ground all around us. The last rays of the sun seemed to lighten it to a golden glow. I am sure this would make a beautiful color picture. The 2 of us walking behind each other in the narrow path, with my luggage on our heads, silhouetted against the setting sun. One December I saw a large picture like that, only it was of a giraffe. I remember standing there, looking at it, and for a moment longing to smell the fields after the rain. But I was in Swakopmund with my Mrs. and her family, as she needed the rest. It was holiday time, family time, but I was without my own family, just as I was for the rest of the year and for most of my adult life. Now all that has changed. I'm on my way home. I am walking the same path as I walked many years ago, only then I was 17 and my eyes looked forward. A young girl has left, and now, after 40 years, 3 children, and a couple of visits to the village, an old woman is on her way back home, an old woman who has her eyes fixed on the ground. My daughter, the stranger, stopped suddenly, turned round, and looked inquiringly at me. I realized that she must have been waiting for an answer or a reaction of some sort. I was so lost in my thoughts that I had no idea what she was waiting for. But then, I never had any idea what my children's actual needs were. In her calm voice, she repeated the question, asking whether she was walking too fast for me. Oh dear God, what kindness! Someone was actually asking me whether I could keep up, not telling me to walk faster, to have no mails in my room, to get up earlier, to pay more attention, to wash the dog. I was overcome. Tears filled my eyes. My throat tightened, my spirit soared. The stranger, my daughter, took the case from her head and put it on the ground next to her. Then she helped me to take my case down from my head and placed it next to hers. "Let us rest for a while," she said gently. After we sat down on the cases next to each other, she said, "It is so good to have you home." We sat there in complete silence, with only the sound of some crickets filling the air. I never felt more content, more at peace. I looked at the stranger and saw my daughter. Then I knew I had come home. I did matter. I was together with the fruit of my womb. I had grown fruit. I looked down at my wasted, abused body and thought of the earth from which such beautiful flowers burst forth. "We must go now. Everybody is waiting for you," Maria said, standing up. "You walk in front. You set the pace. I will follow you." I walked ahead of Maria on the narrow path, my back straight and my eyes looking forward. I was in a hurry to reach home.